Okay, so remember we're doing things messy, if you remember last week's video. And I was on a roll today and felt like doing videos. So even though you might not see this video for a while, I'm recording it at the same time. And as you can tell, I changed my sweatshirt just to make sure it looked like we were doing things a little bit differently. But the reality is I'm just doing the videos back to back because I'm on a roll and I've got some big messages for you. So welcome back to the conversation on how we're going to ignite, restart, kickstart, whatever we're calling it. I don't know. I had this like really great name for this series. And it came to me in the shower, of course, and I didn't write it down and now I don't remember what it is. So we're just going to go with it today. Hopefully you had some really big aha moments, got the little tingles on your head going when I talked about knowing what kind of event we were inviting to. That's what we talked about in the last episode of the Kickstart or reboot, whatever this is called. Anyway, Kickstart, reboot. I like that, right? So I talked about this, like we have to know what we're inviting to, right? Because we have to be in alignment and have this clarity and this confidence and know like how are we inviting? Because if it's not something that aligns with our passions or what works in our current lifestyle, it's just not going to work. And I feel like for so long in my doTERRA business and when I was working with others, it's like we wanted to do it, but we put these unrealistic expectations on ourselves. And so we constantly were running up these against these like unrealistic expectations. And so then we would like set these goals that didn't actually work for us. And then we would feel like we were failures because the goals didn't work. And it's because they weren't aligned with who we are. We'd be like, oh, if I want to be gold, I should be working 15 to 20 hours a week, which is true. But maybe you didn't have 15 to 20 hours a week to actually work. Right? What was more realistic for you is the 5 to 10. Or you're like, I don't know what to do in this time frame, or you weren't at that level. Because I'm going to tell you, when I started my journey, and still like it was like this slow progression where I started out and I was like, hey, I'm kind of casually sharing, but as I got the hang of it and as people started coming to me and as I got more confidence and clarity, my lead flow started coming in. And then I had the customers. So in the beginning, and where many of you are right now, our biggest thing is like, how do we invite people into our spaces so we can learn, they can learn, right? And then after we go into our spaces and we learn how to learn, then we're supporting more people. And then we've got people that want to do the business. So the progression up to the 15 to 20 hours a week in your business, which I don't think you have to put any more than 20 in, right? Even to go all the way to diamond if you do it right. There's a natural progression, right? So like my whole thing is like, hey, can we start with 5? Can we start with 5? Like, let's just start with 5. See where we go, right? So today I want to talk about the invitation. So we know our events. We've got this clarity and this certainty now around our events and what type of events. Like, are we hosting in-person classes, online, links, right? That we're going to get to next week. So we know exactly what we're inviting to. And now we're kind of like, okay, let's start to invite the people in. Now, this is where I'm going to say, let's create a names list, but it's not going to be 100 people. I just want you to look at the kind of events and the things that light you up and give you passion. And I just want you to start writing people down. Okay. I'm not going to say, well, you know the mailman, so you should write the mailman down. I don't know my mailman. I mean, I know they like, what am I going to do? Go flying out with that with in my braless body, my pajamas and be like, hey, I don't know you, but do you want to come to my essential oil class? No. I want you to write people down on your list that you think could benefit from the passions you have right now. And the last time I gave you an example, I'm hosting a hormones class. And so my first thing is like, okay, now I know my event. Who are women I really want to put some love and attention into for inviting them to my hormones class? Maybe I'm hosting a foundational wellness class. And because I'm loving the VMG system, right? So I've got this foundational wellness class and I'm like, who can I invite to this class? Maybe you're like, I do want to do the horses class. Who would be interested in horses? You're probably going to invite people that you know already have a passion for the horses. And so a lot of times, instead of just having this like never ending like group of like people that I'm working with, I get very specific on the events I'm hosting or the topic I'm passionate about right now. and I go from there. And so if I'm hosting, like I might only have 10 people on my list. I might only have 20 people on my list. And so this is where I start to nurture the relationships, and I start to see, like, would they even be open in learning about this topic? Okay. And so this is where we kind of start to put together our pieces. Now, there's two ways we can do it. There's a couple of different ways I want to talk about extending the invitation. Okay. And so the first thing is, like, we've got this list of people and we've got these specific events, and we start reaching out to them and we start asking them, like, hey, I'm hosting, like, I taught the girl was working with, and if you host your own event, like, we'll do some one-on-one support for you to invite to your event. But the first thing I usually do is say, hey, just come up with your list, 10 to 15, 20 people. Like, this would be if you're hosting an in-person class. And I'm like, come up with some people and be super casual. Like 10 days before the event, you start to invite. You're like, hey, I'm hosting this class. I've been having some amazing results with this new system I'm using from doTERRA, and I want you to learn about it. Is this something you're interested in? Like, just make it casual. Like, I can give you scripts, but come up with it on your own. Like, I've been having a lot of people ask me about my skincare. I was thinking about you. Do you want to come? I'm going to have this hangover, not a hangover. I'm going to have this hangout. You want to come over? Okay. You're extending the invitation. You're just asking the people. So this is like the very intentional, targeted asking people. Now, you don't have to do all of this at once. Maybe if you're like, I'm really focused in on online one-on-ones and like texting people information, maybe you set yourself a goal and you're like, every day I connect with 3 people. Okay. Every day I connect with 3 people. And sometimes that connection doesn't even have to be about doTERRA. Like, who are just 3 people I can text and be like, hey, I'm thinking about you. What's going on? Who can you nurture a relationship with? So that's the first way we're going to invite. We're going to get really specific on the people, and we're inviting them to that specific event. Okay. And my rule of thumb is you start 10 days before your event. Now, again, this is if you're doing for a specific online. You start 10 days before your event. You send out the initial invitation to the people that you have on your list. If you don't hear back from them in maybe 3 to 4 days, you send another text message and you say, hey, just bumping this up to the top. I'm hosting that class next week. Is that something that you're interested in? If not, just let me know and I'll stop inviting you. This is the spot that most people miss. We send that initial invite 10 days before, or maybe it's just any time before, like maybe it's not even a special invite. Maybe it's just like, hey, I'm getting back into doTERRA, or I'm really passionate about XYZ. And we never hear back. So we assume that they don't want the information, and that's not true, right? It takes 10 to 15 points of contact for them to know, love, and trust you enough to purchase from you or maybe attend that class. 10 to 15 points of contact. Do not give up after the first one, because a lot of times we need that bumped up. And I talked about that a lot in the funnel. We need the message bumped up. So until somebody tells me, no, I am not interested, I keep asking. I'm not asking every single day. Again, we send the initial invite 10 days before the event. 2 to 3 days later, maybe 3 to 4 days later, we're going to check in again. If somebody said, yes, they're interested, we jot them down on our little piece of paper. We're not making it complicated. Yes, oh, they're interested. You ask them, does that time work? And they say yes. So you've got them, and then you know, okay, sounds awesome. Is there anything that you would like to know ahead of time? Maybe you send them a video. Is there any samples I could get you ahead of time? Maybe you send them a sample. Maybe there is, you're like, hey, I'm going to, I'll send you a reminder of the day of. Sound good? Sound good? Yep. Super casual. 3 to 4 days later, to the ones that haven't responded. Hey, I'm just bumping this up. I didn't hear back from you. Did you want to come to my class on the 23rd? Super simple, but it's one of the things that most of you will skip because you're like, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to bug them. You're not bugging them. How many times do you not answer a text because you just forget about it? People are busy right now. Saying I'm bumping it up, did you want to come? They could very well want to come. They just forgot to respond. Giving them the out, right? Saying, hey, if this isn't something that interests you, just let me know. And I'll quit bugging you, right? Then 2 days before the event, we send a reminder to all the yeses. Maybe you send out one more message to the people that haven't responded yet and be like, hey, the class is tomorrow. And I've had so many people that don't respond until that third message I send. And they're super interested, but they can't make the event. And I'm like, oh, no problem. I'll send you a link to learn more. But I didn't stop. And what I'm seeing is last week, somebody for their first class had 12 people at it because they didn't stop. They followed this invite. And every single time I can tell if people follow this or they don't follow this. When they follow this, it works like a charm every single time. You will get people in seats. You will get butts in seats. You will get people in front of you. And this is the space that we have to, this is where it's going to get uncomfortable. It's going to get a little messy. We're not going to do it perfect the first time, but just do it. Just do it. Okay. So that's the first way we can get super intentional about inviting. Now, the second thing we can do is we can put like little teasers out and start to educate and start to extend the invitation. And this is where social media is really, really good. Okay. And a lot of us are hiding on social media. Like if I went to most of your profiles, I would have no idea that you shared doTERRA, like no idea whatsoever. And you're like, but I don't want my friends and family to know that I'm sharing doTERRA. Who cares? They're not the ones like with the great results. They're not the ones paying your bills. Who cares? Let them, right? Go read the Mel Robbins book. Let them. But I want you to know, like, there's lots of fun ways that we can share in social media. In social media right now, it's not about always selling people, it's teaching people using your online platform to teach people how you're using your oils every day, right? Like, I'm feeling kind of anxious today. I'm going to put this balance on. Oh my gosh, like I'm drinking my MetaPower with my water. So those are also ways that we can start to pull people in that maybe they're not on your names list, but they're part of your sphere of influence. And those interconnections, that curiosity, you're building curiosity, they're going to say, oh, what is she doing? Did she just put oils? Like, hey, if I'm a mama right now and I'm trying to keep my kids healthy, this is what I'm doing to keep my kids healthy. And social media is kind of in a whole other beast. And if that's something that you want training on, I will definitely help you with. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this in these videos, but it's part of the invitation. It's building curiosity, using your oils in front of people, allow it to flow into you naturally, right? If you are sometimes it's not even about the oils, it's about what you're doing. It's about creating relationship with you. Like in social media and stories, beautiful place for people to get to know you because they're buying from somebody they know, love, and trust. And if they don't know you, they don't want to know you just as the oil lady. They want to know you as the homeschool mom, the lady that likes the horses, the crazy cat lady, the lady that likes to do sourdough bread, the one that likes to go out on walks every single day, no matter how cold it is. They want to know who you are. It no longer works to put a stagnant post up and like not show your face because people can't relate to a cartoon image of you on your online profile. Okay. But they can relate to you. Again, the messy, the perfectly imperfect, the one that might not know what she's doing, but she's going to give it her all. And the more we do it, the better we'll get at it. Okay, so those are kind of the invitations. So now we start to say, okay, I've got these events. Who would be interested in my event? Are you having a hormone event? Are you just maybe having a spa night with women? Are you doing foundational wellness? And this is where myself and your upline, we can help you dial in and decide like what's working for you right now. And then just talk about it. And so it's a specific invite to these specific events, which is always great. But also if you're like, hey, I kind of want to dip my toes, like I feel like I don't have people on my names list, or it's the same old people that I've been talking to, how are we going to create a lead flow? How are you going to get people into your funnel is the key with the invitation. Where are these people coming from? Okay. Now, if you can find all the people without using social media, you don't have to use social media. But if you're feeling like you're in a, I can't find anybody drought, we have to come up with some other ideas. So that social media and like extending the invitation for them to get curious, to click a link to learn more, things like that. That's a great way to do it. Maybe it's you getting your butt outside and meeting some new people. Maybe it's like learning how to tap into other groups, but if you're feeling right now like I don't have anybody to invite to, we have to start to explore other options, right? And we can't hide. Like sometimes it's just really me saying like, hey, the open sign is on and I'm open for business in my business. And I'm not going to hide anymore. Okay. So that's the invitation piece. Okay. So we're inviting to these events we've created. And I am confident, I'm like 1000% confident that if you took the time to figure out how, like what you were inviting to, what you were multi-passionate about when it came to oils, what you like really you had that confidence and clarity on, you will then link it to specific people and you will be able to invite in a completely different way than you ever invited before. So if you take that like confidence and clarity in what you're inviting to, and then you apply the principles of not giving up until you get a no, right? Until you get a no or a yes, they're still interested. They're still on your names list. And just learning how to do that day in and day out, you're going to have wild success. I'm 100% confident if you learn how to do this, you're going to get your 1 or 2 enrollments a month. Okay? Because yes, there is the enrollment process. And we have to ask for the enrollment. But right now, let's just focus on getting butts and seats to learn about the products. And once they've learned, then we move on to the links. Okay. And that will be the next class. And then we're going to go through this fun new system that I have that I want to show you. That might be like a separate thing. Okay. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this. So get out, start inviting, get really clear on your events. If you haven't figured out your events yet, make sure you're reaching out to me, your upline. That's what we're here for. And I'm going to just throw this out there before we do the next call, is that so often we think that we need to do this business by ourselves. That is not what this business is meant to do. The beauty of social selling and network marketing, which is what doTERRA is that you get an upline that's absolutely free to you, that is going to guide you, teach you, coach you, hold you accountable. But we live in this society that thinks we just need to do everything on our own. And so we try to do it all on our own. And we don't ask for support. We don't ask for help. And I can tell you in my 12-year journey, every time I've had massive success or expanded in my business, wasn't because I put in more reps or wasn't because I put in more hours. It was because I allowed myself to connect with a coach every single week. And I allowed myself to be guided, to be mentored, and to stay on track with my goals. Okay? That's what a coach does. And that's what you have access to. So don't run the other way from it and be like, I can do this all on my own, because watching a video is not the same. So that's your invitation to connect with either myself or your upline. And let's have fun inviting to these events that are giving us so much passion, filling our hearts, and giving us so much fun and excitement. And I'll see you next time.